Hello, this is Steve from Bedo's Leatherworks, and today's project is this very cool riding boots. Now this customer brought this in to stretch her calves a little bit because they were just a little too tight. A couple of options we offer when we're doing these types of jobs. Sometimes we put pieces in the back to extend the width of it. Sometimes we stretch it depending on how much they need stretched. If it's like an inch or two, no, you can't stretch it that much. Maybe half inch, 3/4 of an inch. So we try that with this customer first. We said, let's give it a try to stretch them first. And if it doesn't work, we'll figure something out. Now, the other problem is that these boots are too tall for her, okay? It hits the back of her knees. So what we're gonna do first, we're going to disassemble the uppers, okay, and lower this down 1.5 inches. Now, it's kind of cool with all these details, you know, but unfortunately that makes it a little bit more difficult to do when you have so many details. Once we lower the height, we're going to add about 1 inch of an elastic width-wise, and about maybe 8 inches long to give it a little bit of room around the calf area. That way it can fit her better, than she can start wearing it and enjoy her boots. All right, so let's get started. All right, so here goes nothing. Now this was a $250 job. We tried to stretch it for her, which was a cheaper and easier job, but sometimes things don't work out. This pair of boots, let's see, it is Nano Boot Company. Nano Boot Company. It's a pretty cool boot, actually. But it's just not working for her. This sucker's on there. Wow. Man, does not want to come apart. My heat gun is on the other room, but unfortunately the way I made the cabinets, the plug is in the back of the cabinet, and I don't feel like moving the cabinet out of the way to pull it out of the, to pull it away from the wall so I can get the heat gun out. All right, we'll make it work. There's a will, there's a way. You just gotta be careful not to tear anything, so you're gonna reuse it again. Now this is the issue with these, right? Look at this, that just popped off. One of the, whatever we call that. I'm gonna have issues with all of these, I think, because I've got to maneuver it, I got to move it around, I got to bend it, I got to flex it, and it's just glued on there. So I'm thinking maybe I should take it off now, and I'll just glue it back later. If it comes off, we'll glue it, but I'm afraid I might lose it. There's another one. All right, we'll figure something out. All right, let's continue. So once this top piece comes out, we get to take the side binding out right here. Now there's 3 stitches there. First stitch is to hold the binding together. Second stitch is for the zipper. Third stitch is for the lining. So now the lining is apart, so we get to take that thread. Anything that you cut to take apart, you gotta remove the stitches. You can't just stitch it on top of the old stitches. That's a no-no. It just doesn't look good because it starts fraying, and you don't want it. You don't want it the job to look sloppy, you know. And the trick is to reuse everything that you're taking apart. That's the hardest part about jobs like this, because you've got to put it back together. Alright, it's easier said than done. Well, it's not hard, it's just a matter of time, that's all. It's a very well constructed boot. Now this is turpentine I'm doing here. It's just to release the glue. Because it's very easy to pull and tug on it, and you know it's going to tear somewhere if you do. Alright, it's coming along fine. Once this comes off, or out of the way, we can take that design top piece off. Alright, let's continue. So there's a lot of little details here that we need to take into consideration. Like, for example, see this little top piece right here? That's called a French binding. The way it's done is that, let's say this is the boot, right? This right here. You've got a piece of material that's stitched on and folded over like this. Just like that. And then the piece of lining comes on the bottom of it. But you can't just cut it and lower it down. You've got to undo that. You've got to undo that area right here, because you have that binding on the edge of the zipper also. That gets tucked underneath this top binding. So all that's got to be taken apart. Take apart these stitches, lower it, and then repeat the process on the other side, and then just kind of reverse, put things back together. So it's not as simple as just cutting it off and lowering it. So it's a little bit more detail involved in that. All right, let's continue. And how many pieces? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, so 3 pieces are missing. Now, some of you guys are concerned about my shaking. I'm okay. I am okay. I've been shaking since I was 10 years old. I don't know why. I don't know. They call it tremors or something. Sometimes when I get a little tired or have too much caffeine, it just escalates just a little bit. I'm okay. Okay? I promise you. I appreciate it though. But I guess it bothers some people that my hands shake. Well, if it bothers you that much, turn off the video. What can I tell you? I can't control that. It is what it is. You're going to take me for everything I am, good, bad, and ugly. Well, I'm not ugly. No. I'm a handsome man. Wait. I gotta say it so I believe it, right? And I can make other people believe it. It's okay to have a little bit of a self-confidence now. No? All right, I better stop. Well, you got, you know, the saying when I say it sometimes, Allah loves me. I mean, if you don't say that, then other people won't say it either. So, you know, you got to brainwash them sometimes. So basically now we just got to kind of clean up a little bit and take the thread, the old thread apart, make sure that there's no little things dangling over and hanging off the leather pieces, because we are almost to a point where we can stitch this back on. Oh look, my counter, my table is clean now. Some of you guys were saying that I have a messy countertop. Well, I mean, or workbench. True. I'm not lying there. But sometimes I do clean it up. So it's clean now, for the time being, that is, until I do about another 20 projects. Alright, so we've got another piece of leather here. As you can see, this little piece right there. We got to glue everything back together. It's just for decoration. There's nothing really structural, but make sure once we clean all the thread off, which there's 2 threads here too. I mean, there's threads everywhere in this damn boot. Look at this. I mean, they put double stitches on there. Why? Well, I guess it makes it look pretty. All right, we'll just have to clean that up, and we got to put the double stitches back. All right, let's continue. Now, once that top piece came off, we literally need to lower this pattern down 1.5 inches. But we have an issue, okay? There's no way that we can move this down 1.5 inches and maintain the same pattern. As you can see, it's not going to work. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut some of it off. Okay, I'm going to cut a new piece of leather about 1 inch wide, that same shape right there. Okay, and then I'll put the new piece of leather on top of the old one, but the old one will have a different shape. The new one will have this exact same shape. Okay, if that makes sense. Because trying to keep this pattern is not going to work, because it's just not possible. But once we remove some of that and put a new piece down, and that new piece will basically be this exact same shape as this leather right here. Okay, see that area, especially here? That'll be a new piece of leather right there. And right here, it'll kind of add like a pattern about an inch following this line right there. That's the only way. Thought about this. It took me a while. You know, I kind of got stuck, and I stopped and came back, and I think this is the only way it's going to work. All right, let's continue. Luckily, I had the same kind of leather that would match it pretty good. All right. So you guys get the idea, right? All right, let's see if I can zoom in or not. All right, let me get a better camera angle. Okay, so this line right here, okay, that's 1.5 inches from the top. But as you can see, there's no leather piece there. This new line right here, this is where the new piece is going to be. Just like this. Okay, now, you see that? Now, we can cut the original piece right in the middle of that line. Once this comes on, this is going to match exactly to what we need it to match. You guys follow me now? And this is the only way to do it. It's a funny curve pattern. Didn't realize it until I took it apart that, you know what we're trying to do is not going to work. So you do like plan B, you know, you improvise. Sometimes you don't know these things until you take them apart. And once you've taken them apart, then you get a better idea of what's going to work and what's not. Okay, let's continue. Now what we're going to do, we're going to skive the leather. Skiving means thinning it out. Since you've got these two on top of each other, you don't want it to be too bulky. So what we're going to do is we're going to skive a little bit. And when it's on top of each other, it won't be so thick. This is called a bell skiver. It's got a round knife. It looks like it resembles a bell. You guys see right there? I took the edge about 1/2 inch or so, thinned it out to half the thickness. This is just a guide, so it doesn't do too much. It'll be both sides anyway, it doesn't really matter. Alright, now it's ready to be glued together and start stitching. Alright, let's continue. Now with this new piece here, I'm going to stitch it with black thread. I don't want to do a double white stitch on there because you don't want the eye to come to that pattern. When you're looking at it, you're only going to see the other part, the old part with the fabric on there, or not the fabric, that floral pattern, whatever it is. This is my Yamada Post machine. It's FY810. People always ask me about my machine, so I kind of figured maybe I'll give you, you know, the names of it and stuff when I'm working on it. Yamata. Yamata. It's exactly how it sounds. I want to get as close as possible to stitch. Not too bad. All right, now it's coffee time. Let's continue. Slowly but surely. All right, let's continue. All right, well, we're at this stage where we've got the pieces sewn together. Now we've got the elastic in the back. I could only put the elastic on one side because, I mean, I guess I could have done on that side too, but one side is enough. It's going to make a little bit off center, but not too much. We're going to cut this down a little bit. This is going to be about maybe 1 inch. This is a lot wider than it is now. So, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here. It's like a puzzle, basically. Everything is connected to one another. and you can't stitch one without that being stitched, and without that being stitched you can't do this. It's just a lot of little details involved. Now, this took me a lot longer to do than I anticipated. I worked on this just about all day yesterday, and this is the next day, and I still have another probably hour to go. Now, unfortunately, some jobs, this is what happens. You know, you take something in, and it becomes bigger than what you had planned, but it is what it is. You know, you got to just kind of do it and finish it and be done with it. You just have to know next time around, if something like this ever comes up again, you'll know better how to price it. Now, we charge $250 for this job. This is, I mean, I wouldn't have done it for $500, to be honest with you, because had I known it was going to be this detailed, this intricate. But it's okay. Sometimes you just have to do it and make the customer happy and be done with it. And the only thing you're gaining by it is experience for next time around. It's okay, not a problem at all. All right, so we'll go ahead and stitch this zipper back together, lining back together, clean up the boot, and we'll be done with it. All right, let's continue. Time to close the lining and stitch it and be done. Now, after we glue this together, I'm going to put it in a stretcher. It's not going to stretch it, it's just going to kind of push the lining to the body of the boot. I'll show you in a second what I'm talking about. Because when they make these, they have shoe lasts, or boot lasts, I should say. That's the shape of the calf right there. And then they, after everything gets done, they remove it. So this is what we're going to do, something similar, not exact, but I use this machine to stretch the calves of the boots. There's a lot of glue in place here. And we haven't cut the length of the boot yet, the lining. This is cumbersome. It fought me every bit of the way too. All right. Back together, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Gotta give it a little bit of a curve. I don't want any wrinkles inside. Once we stitch the lining to the body of the boot, then we'll go ahead and cut the lining, the top of the lining, the length of it. All right, not too bad, not too bad. All right, I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, let's continue. Stretcher, okay? It stretches the calves of the boot and also around the arch of the boot, or around the ankle of the boot. So if you press this down, and if you turn the handle, you see how the bottom is opening up? It's stretching it this way. And if you pull it up and you turn it, and it stretches the calf part. So let's tighten that up there. Okay, this piece here is an extra piece in case we needed to make it extra wider. We don't need that. So slide this on here. Now I'm not stretching the cap, okay? What I'm doing is just pushing the lining that I just glued to the body of the boot. Just kind of hand tightening, just like that. We still want to keep that nice and smooth, the lining nice and smooth inside. And I'll leave this here maybe about, I don't know, 15 minutes. That's all we really need. And we'll go ahead and finish stitching it up. So if I wanted to stretch the calf, I would wet the exterior and the interior lining and then crank that as much as you could. You got to be careful because that cranking it puts a lot of stress on the zipper area. So you want to make sure that you don't damage the zipper, then you've got more work than what you started with. Most of the time it works out pretty good. Again, it really depends on how much stretching the customer needs. If it's 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch, maybe we can gradually wet it, stretch it, wet it, stretch it, wet it, stretch it over time. But if it's like an inch or two, it's just not, I mean, sorry, if it's more than an inch, 2 inches or so, it's not going to work. The leather and the lining is not going to stretch that much. So there are some options we can, like for example, this one, we can put an elastic, or we can put a leather piece in the back, kind of in a V shape to make it bigger. The ones that have a zipper on them, it's a lot easier to do because you've got access, but there are boots that, for example, this boot right here does not have a zipper in the back, and it's too small on the calf area. We're going to add a V-shaped piece of leather to extend it to make it wider so she can wear it. Now, I don't specialize in riding boots. You know, I've got a few customers who come in who bring it to me. It's not really my specialty. My specialty is mainly like, you know, like dress shoes and stuff like that. But jobs like this, you know, comes in once in a while, and I don't say no to it, and I like doing it, even though sometimes it takes longer than usual. All right, let's continue. Okay, don't forget, guys, I get this question asked a lot. Where are we located? What my contact information is. If you go to my main page right here on YouTube, you go to About. All my information's right there. The shop name, the address, the phone number, my email address, everything that you need to know is right there. So yes, I do a lot of mail-in orders. If you have anything you want to mail in, please email me first. There's been times where people send me stuff and unfortunately I have to return it back to them. So please just don't send your item if you want something to be repaired. You need to communicate with me first to let me know what you have. I'll give you a rough idea about the price. Once it comes in, we'll inspect it and we'll let you know exact price and you know what it's going to take to do the repair and the restoration. Let's see what else. If you want to mail something in, this is the shipping form right here. If you click onto that, okay, just print this out, fill it out, print it, and send it with your item. And please, please do not send me stuff without information. I'm getting items coming in when there's nothing inside the box. There's a UPS label on the box, which I don't know who it belongs to. And unfortunately, it just stays aside and it delays the project more. So even though I've communicated with you through emails, Instagram, text messages, it doesn't really matter. When the item comes in, I don't know who it belongs to. I have more than one customer, so please, please put some sort of information in there. Even if you're not going to print that out, just have your name and phone number, address, so this way I can contact you when I receive the item. All right, let's continue. We're finally done. Yes, I'm happy that I finished it. Well, I think it turned out all right, not too bad, you know. I think overall, it's not too bad. It'll fit the customer's foot. She'll be happy with it. We lower the length of it, you know, and sometimes, you know, I give myself grades, right? C, B, whatever the case may be. I think it comes across in a wrong way. I love all the jobs that I do, but I always feel that there is a lot more to learn and to do better at, even though the customer doesn't see what I'm talking about, okay? Whenever I say, oh, you know, I give myself a C plus or whatever for that Louis Vuitton project, for example, about the stitches not being straight, I see those kinds of details, not the customer, okay? Most customers will take a look at it and they love the project and they're very happy with it. There's certain things that I view differently than what the consumer sees. That's what I'm grading myself on, not the fact that I took a stitch and zigzagged it, okay? It's not that at all. So don't get me wrong when I say stuff like that. Sometimes I want to better myself on projects, you know, knowing that, yes, it can be better. You know, I could have done this way and I didn't, but that doesn't mean that it's the wrong way. It's just another way of doing it. All right, so thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate everything you guys do. Lately, it's been crazy out there, and people are on the edge. They're cooped up in their houses, and I hope none of you guys are feeling ill and getting this virus. I think with patience and understanding and kindness, I think we can get through this. It's just going to take a little bit to, you know, to go through, and not knowing what's going on is the hardest part. So just hang in there, and I think everything will work out just fine. All right. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. So hit the share button, make comments, subscribe, thumbs up. You know what to do, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it if you do that. All right. We'll see you again on the next project. Take care.